What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be checking out the NECA Toys Heroes of the Storm. This is Renegade Commander Raynor. Before we go ahead and get some closer looks at Raynor, let's figure out how tall he is. He's roughly about 7 inches. He may be just a little bit taller, but 7 inches would be a good guess. This StarCraft commander would come included with, I believe this is the C-14 Impaler Gauss rifle, which actually looks quite good and equally menacing. It's a very large, stocky looking rifle. On the end, it's got the blade sticking out, which has some nice paint deco to it. It looks like it's almost been kind of scratched with paint, giving a look that it's pierced probably several different things. And it's also got a bit of a dry brushing of some silver that's been added to the actual rifle. Rifle looks good. It looks very big, very imposing. And there's the other side of it. See some orange peeking through in the little light slots, and also there's a little hazard sign there as well. But again, like, it's very, very big. It doesn't fit in his hand all that well, though. If correct, I believe it's actually supposed to fit through the handle. The thumb is supposed to fit through the handle, and then the 3 fingers are supposed to fit in between I'm guessing the magazine clip and the handle portion. I think he's supposed to hold it from the back, but the problem is there's not really a whole lot of clearance. Let me just show you exactly what's happening here. So it's supposed to fit, his thumb's supposed to fit here, his fingers are supposed to fit, I believe, through here, and he's supposed to hold it from the back of the rifle. You can then also support it over top of his fingers, which also does help. I found it was easier actually to put it onto his 4 fingers. And then once it was on the fingers, as he was supporting it with the one hand, then you could try your best to pry the hand around the back section right here. I mean, it looks good, but I tell you, it's not one of the easiest things to accomplish, and you will get this big noticeable gap. They almost should have moved the magazine slot a little bit further up, just enough clearance that the fingers could have wrapped around the handle properly. But it does look good. I mean, it has a really imposing presence. The rifle is almost as big as the actual figure, which I suppose is one small little nitpick I can make about this. While it is a great looking figure, I feel like it may be undersized. Granted, he is a human, but he's a human also in a giant mech suit, so I would think that the suit would probably be not incredibly larger, but I mean, at the very least, it should be just maybe a little bit bigger. Let's go ahead and take the rifle out of his hand. We'll just put that there. That, by the way, is his only accessory, is the rifle. And let's have a look at the figure. One of his other notable features is the fact that he does have a visor. But just before we do that, let's have a close-up look at his face. The face almost kind of reminds me of a goateed Josh Brolin. I'm certain I'm probably the only one that would be thinking that. But he does have a visor, but I just wanted to show you the really excellent head sculpt underneath there. He does have head posability, but as you can probably imagine, it's not the easiest to get in there. You have to kind of get your finger in there, move the head in whatever direction you hopefully can get it into, and then kind of leave it be. But as I mentioned, he does have a visor. The visor does come down, and you got this excellent looking skeletal print. I love how it's got the little claws running through it. Haven't played a whole bunch of StarCraft, I have to admit, but the design on this guy really does look impressive. I actually was also thinking that this guy would have been a little bit more limited. Yes, I did move the rifle over to the side. I thought this guy's articulation would have been a little bit more limited. He would have been a little bit more of a cumbersome, bulky figure to kind of move around. And you know, I'm surprised, actually, in a pleasant way, that not be the case. But before we do all of that, let's look at some of the sculpting here. Really, all these cool little panels. Now, I think this is going to be the last of the Heroes of the Storm wave that we're going to be getting from NECA Toys, which is kind of sad because even though I didn't really follow the source material that these figures are based from, I thought the designs were really cool on a lot of them, actually. So with Raynor, for example, he's a combination of almost like a blue-based gray, and he's got some nice light silver accents here. And really, much like the rifle, he's got all these little scratchings where it looks like the armor's been chipped or, you know, tousled about, that, you know, some of the metal is starting just to kind of show a little bit of damage to it. But again, like all these very intricate, to think that somebody would have actually sculpted this is quite impressive. It looks like he has perhaps a kill count marked on the side here. I can't imagine that that pattern, the pattern does look like it could be probably the notation of something that he's done in the field of battle, which carries over also to the other side. That may not necessarily be the case, but it does look like, unless it's just deco, but it does look like it's something that he would have applied you know, regularly. He would have not just simply printed this on his armor right off the bat. Like I said, he's got a very big, kind of imposing presence to him, but I do feel as if he should be maybe a tad bit taller. But he does feel substantial in hand. Nothing really on this guy moves. Nothing, no panels open up. It looks like he has the exhaust ports perhaps on the top there as well. And all the little circuitry in between the leg panels here. And again, it doesn't really have a whole lot of varying degrees of color outside the norm of the blue-gray, the silver, and some of the dark gray in there as well. It's nice that you get the breakup happening here with a little bit of the yellow and the orange featured up at the top there. And again, I have to go back to the visor. I really think the visor shines literally and figuratively, because he's got the nice metallic gold happening here. Posability on this guy. Well, we've already discussed his head. His head is limited, and that is an understatement. Getting your finger in there is next to impossible. Probably would end up displaying him also more so with the visor down, because I just think it looks really, really cool. Arms rotate all the way around via what looks to be a universal joint. If you were to move the arms outward, you're getting about that. Now, I had mentioned that this guy is super posable, or I was actually surprised with how much posability. And despite the fact that things like shoulders do make the figure a little bit more limited, I still feel like he is a pretty posable figure for what he is. Now, the arms do have a hinge. There's a hinge socket right there, so you can bend the arms up. It's not very easy, though. And the arms here feel like they're slightly softer, maybe slightly softer plastic. The arms rotate all the way around. The hands also rotate, but they get a little stuck on the collar here, the little side part of the forearm. And, of course, they hinge back and forth. He has an upper torso ball joint, so you can move him back and forth, up and down. Split on the legs, forward and back on the legs. Nothing, or top swivel cut on the thigh, but then he also has the lower swivel on the lower portion of the leg. The legs also bend at the knee. And not only does he have the hinge up and down, on an independent, let me also show you here, an independent foot. So the front portion of the foot also has a ball joint, but the heel has its own independent ball joint. So ideally, you could rock the front portion of the foot. You can also rock the back portion of the foot as well, giving you the desired look that you would want. No matter what the source material may actually be, from time to time I love myself a nice big chunky figure, and that could certainly be said here for Renegade Commander Raynor. He's a nice big stocky figure, although I do feel he could have been a little bit bigger, but I really do like elements of a mech suit. Always been a big fan of mech suit characters, and I really think he comes together quite well. Posability isn't really as bad as I thought it would be. In fact, the only real nitpick I can make about this guy, other than his size, is the fact that he has the toughest of times holding the blaster in place, the rifle. You can get the rifle into his hands, but in some instances, it feels like it's just barely sitting in there instead of a more comfortable grip that I was hoping to get instead. Ultimately, though, in final looks here, I've managed to get the rifle in one of his hands, and so far, so good. He seems to be holding it okay. Again, this would be one of those instances where I don't think one would have to follow the source material to simply just really like a plastic figure. I don't play a lot of StarCraft. I think I could probably count the number of hours I played StarCraft on one hand, but I do really like figures, and I think this particular figure really does things quite well for me. Today we were having a look at the NECA toys. This was the Heroes of the Storm Renegade Commander Raynor. If you guys like this video, certainly hit it with a like, and if you haven't had a chance yet to hit that little subscribe button down below, make sure you do so. More videos will be coming your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.